So sometimes maybe a chance to ask, can I declare a class inside a class or not? We covered 4 sessions only for this part. Can I declare a class inside a class or not? Yes. Can I declare a class inside interface or not? Class inside interface. Can I declare interface inside interface? Or can I declare interface inside a class? Okay, make sure if interview person is going to ask this type of things, simple answer you can tell, anything inside anything is possible. Are you getting right? Okay, anything inside anything is possible with respect to classes and the interfaces, right? Class inside a class, class inside interface, interface inside a class, interface inside interface is nothing but all 4 combinations are valid. But he may expect, can you explain with an example where this type of requirement is there? I want to declare, so class inside interface. Are you getting? I want to declare class inside interface. Usually inside interface everything is abstract. Then how you can declare a class inside interface? A bit odd combination. Can you explain with an example how to declare a class inside interface where we have this type of requirements is there? We should be in a position to explain. Okay, keep submitting various combinations of nested classes and interfaces. Various combinations of nested classes and interfaces. Various combinations of nested classes and interfaces. Combinations of nested class, various combinations of nested classes and interfaces. Okay, in that case one, class inside a class. Case 1, class inside a class. Sir, so this part, so as much as less we have to talk, because we spent already 4 sessions only for this part or 3 sessions only for this part. So class inside a class. Sir, is it possible to declare class inside a class or not? Yes, without existing one type of object. If there is no chance of existing another type of object, then we can declare class inside a class. Are you getting? Best example, university and a department. Have you remembered? Sir, department is always part of university. Without existing university, there is no chance of existing department. Then department class should be part of university class. So that's why within the university we have to declare within the university class we have to declare which class? Department class. We have to declare department class within. So make sure this one is by default considered as a class inside a class. Are you getting? So at this point, case 1, class inside a class. Add without existing one type of object. Without existing one type of object, one type of object. If there is no chance of existing, without existing one type of object, if there is no chance of existing another type of object, then we can declare a class inside a class. Then we can declare class inside a class. Then we can declare a class inside a class. Example, class inside a class. Example, get the theory. Example, university consists of several departments. University consists of several departments. Next now, without existing university, there is no chance of existing department. Without existing university, there is no chance of existing department. There is no chance of existing department. There is no chance of existing department. Hence, we have to declare department class. Hence, we have to declare department class inside university class. We have to declare department class inside university class. Department class inside university class. Inside university class. Department class inside university class. Okay, take this part. Class university. Within that class department. Take that example. Completed, right? Next, case 2. Case 2. Interface inside a class. Case 2. Interface inside a class. Interface inside a class. Class. Sir, I have one class is there. Within the multiple implementations of interface is required. Sir, I have one class, within that multiple implementations of interface is required. All these implementations are relevant to that particular class only. Best example here, just observe. I have one class, within that multiple implementations of an interface required, and all these implementations are related to that particular class only. Then happily we can declare interface and the corresponding implementation classes within that particular class only. Best example here, just observe. Let me explain example. I have one class is there, class vehicle types. Are you getting? Class vehicle types. I have one class is there, vehicle types. Within that I am taking here, sir, I have one interface is there named with the vehicle. Interface vehicle interface is there. Within that vehicle interface, just I am taking, sir, public int get number of wheels. Public int get number of wheels is nothing but like we have. Interface vehicle is there, public int get number of wheels. Now my target is, sir, within vehicle types, I want to implement multiple vehicles I have to define. But all these vehicles should implement vehicle interface. Now I am taking class bus. Here just observe one implementation. Class bus implements a vehicle. Class bus implements a vehicle. Within that I am taking public int get number of wheels. Public int get number of wheels. Return some 6 I am taking. Are you getting? Sir, this is the bus implementation of vehicle. Next, similarly, I am taking class auto. Class auto implements a vehicle. Class auto implements a vehicle. Class auto implements vehicle. Now I am taking public int get number of wheels. Get number of wheels. Return auto, how many wheels auto has? Return 3 like this. Okay, so dot several implementation classes I can take, followed by this one. Are you getting? Sir, within a class multiple implementations of an interface is required, and all these implementations are related to a particular class. Then happily we can declare interface and corresponding implementation classes within that particular class only. Is it possible? So can I declare a class? Can I declare interface inside a class or not? Yes, no problem at all. Okay, add. What is the heading you took? Can you spell out? Interface inside a class. Have you observed? Interface inside a class. Okay, add. Inside a class, if we require multiple implementations of an interface, inside a class if we require multiple implementations of an interface, multiple implementations of an interface, and all these implementations are related to a particular class. All these implementations are related to a particular class. then all these implementations are related to a particular class, then all these implementations are related to a particular class, then we can define interface inside a class, then we can define interface inside a class, then we can define interface inside a class, interface inside a class. So I hope terminology is very clear for you people, right? Okay, take this example, class vehicle types, like take clearly from the board. Completed, right? Take clearly. Case 3. So this is the case 2. Interface inside a class. Interface inside a class, like we have. Okay, so take special care about this terminology, right? Class vehicle types, interface vehicle, like clear for all of you, right? Next up, case 3, interface inside interface. Interface inside interface. Interface inside interface. Sir, here even in the last classes we covered example. Is it possible to declare interface inside interface? Possible or not? Yes, best example. Have you remembered map concept? Keep supporting interface inside interface. Just observe. Sir, best example for you. Even API part I explain. Sir, we have one map is there. Can you tell? What is a map, Anna? Map is a group of key value pairs. Key value pair is a map. Each key value pair is by default considered as an entry. Assume that. Suppose 101 Durga, 102 some Ravi, 103 Shiva, 104 some Pavan, like we have. Sir, it's a map. Within that, each key value pair by default considered as an entry. Now regarding each key value pair is by default considered as an entry. Now without existing map object, there is no chance of existing entry. Entry is always part of the map. That's why interface entry is defined inside interface map. Sir, interface entry, of course, interface map within the interface entry is defined. Interface entry is defined. Regarding, sir, why? Without existing map, there is no chance of existing entry. Entry is always associated with the map only. That's why interface entry is defined inside map interface, right? Okay, at this point. At the point, well, we can declare interface inside interface. We can declare interface inside interface. Interface inside interface. We can declare interface inside interface. Okay. Now at the point, interface inside interface. Okay. Example. A map is a group of key value pairs. Map is a group of key value pairs. Map is a group of key value pairs, and each key value pair is called an entry, and each key value pair is called an entry. Each key value pair is called an entry. Next, without existing map object, there is no chance of existing. Without existing map object, there is no chance of existing entry object. There is no chance of existing entry object. There is no chance of existing entry object. Entry object. Hence interface entry. Hence interface entry. Interface entry is defined. Interface entry is defined inside map interface. Interface entry is defined inside map interface. Interface entry is defined inside map interface. That's all. Are you getting? Take this example, Anna. Interface map, within that interface entry. Interface map, within that interface entry. Take that diagram also. So take this one. This is nothing but what? Entry. Completed, right? Okay. So this is interface map, within that interface entry. Okay, example. Sir, let me go for one more example. Just let me highlight this example, right? Sir, some more conclusions we will cover from this example. What's my example is here? See, sir, I'm taking interface outer analogy. I'm taking interface outer interface. Here within that, so I'm taking one method, public void m1. Outer interface contain m1 method. Next, the interface inner interface contain public void m2 method. Okay, like we have you observed, right? So outer interface contain which method? M1 method. Inner interface contain which method? M2 method, right? Now I want to implement outer interface. Make sure, sir, every inner interface is always public static. Whether we are declaring or not, every interface is always public static. Inner interface is always public static. Whenever we are implementing outer interface, we are not required to provide implementation for inner interface. Remember this one. Sir, directly if you want to implement outer, that's all. Provide implementation M1. You can ignore about this inner, no problem at all. Now observe class, sir, class test1. Class test1 I am taking implements outer interface. Class test1 implements outer. Sir, whenever we are implementing outer interface, we are not required to provide implementation for inner interface because it's always public static, ignorable. Okay, here see, public void m1 method I am taking, because outer interface contain which method? M1. System.out.println outer interface method implementation. Outer interface method implementation or outer interface implementation, like this one. End of this. That's all. I didn't talk about inner. Okay. Similarly, whenever we are implementing inner interface, we are not required to provide implementation for outer, because it's always what? Public static. It's always static member without existing outer class object. Maybe a chance of existing inner class object, we can touch inner component directly, no problem at all. So that's why class tester2 implements, can you tell what implements? Outer dot inner, because while referring outer dot inner, because it's not top level, it is there inside outer dot inner public void m2 method, system.out.println inner interface method implementation, like I'm taking end of this m2 like this. Are you able to get right? So whenever we are implementing inner interface, we are not required to provide implementation for outer interface. Whenever we are implementing outer interface, we are not required to provide implementation for inner interface. Both outer and inner interfaces we can implement independently, no problem at all. Best example is nothing man. Sir, I'm talking about inner, only m2 method. I'm talking about outer, only m1 method. Whenever we are implementing outer, I never talk about inner or m2. Whenever we are implementing inner, I never talk about m1 method or interface outer. Are you getting? Next, now observe this one. Sir, I want to call these things. Now observe class test. I'm taking class test, public static void main string array args. Okay, now I want to call this method. Simple. test1 t1 is equal to new test1. test1 t1 is equal to new test1. test1 is this class. Next, t1 dot m1 method. Happily this method by default is going to get in the chance. Similarly, test2 t2 is equal to new test2 t2 dot m2 method, right? And t2 dot m2. Now this method we are going to get. Are you able to understand? In the first case, okay, outer interface implementation, outer interface method implementation. Second case, inner interface method implementation. Are you getting? Let me execute this code first and then you can take. Here see, 1 minute. Here I am taking 1 minute. So here interface outer. Okay, this example, just wait for a minute. I will change anyway. If anywhere change is required, interface outer, public void m1 method, interface inner, public void m2. Next, class test 1 minute. Okay, class test1. Here say class test1 implements outer, public void m1, outer interface method implementation. Are you getting? Class test1 implements outer, public void m1 completed. Class test2 implements outer dot inner, public void m2, inner interface method implementation. Okay, like end of this test2. Okay, like this completed, right? Now here observe this one. So what the next one? Class test. Okay, class test, public static void, public static void, test1 t1 is equal to new test1 t1 dot m1. Same thing. What is the next one? test2 t2 is equal to new test2 t2 dot m2 method. Correct or not? Same code, whatever I explained on the board, same thing. Let me compile and run this code. Java c test.java. Yes, Java test, perfectly valid, no problem. Outer interface method implementation, inner interface method implementation. Are you able to understand, right? Okay, first at this point, add every interface present inside interface, every interface present inside interface, every interface present inside interface is always, every interface present inside interface is always public and static, is always public and static whether we are declaring or not, is always public and static whether we are declaring or not, is always public and static whether we are declaring or not, whether we are declaring or not, is always public and static whether we are declaring or not, hence we can implement, inner interface directly, we can implement inner interface directly, we can implement inner interface directly without implementing outer interface. Hence we can implement inner interface directly without implementing outer interface, without implementing outer interface. Okay, next para. Similarly, whenever we are implementing outer interface, whenever we are implementing outer interface, we are not required to implement, whenever we are implementing outer interface, we are not required to implement, we are not required to implement inner interface, we are not required to implement inner interface, we are not required to implement inner interface, that is we can implement, outer and inner interfaces, we can implement outer and inner interfaces, we can implement outer and inner interfaces directly, we can implement outer and inner interfaces independently, that's all. Are you getting? Now take this example from the, better to take from screen first, take from the screen, take clearly. Okay, and then at last you can take from board snap. So take clearly. So test 1 implements outer public void m1 outer interface method implementation. Take first. Completed, right? So you can take snap. So So that's all this is about. So interface inside interface. Next down, interface inside interface is like this. Are you able to understand, right? Okay, next one, keep submitting. Last combination, case 4. Sir, can you tell what the last combination? Yo, we covered 3 combination. Class inside a class we covered, interface inside a class we covered, interface inside interface is covered. What is the case 4? Add class inside interface. Class inside interface. Class inside interface. Interface. Class inside interface. Okay. Suppose here just observe, if a functionality of a class is closely associated with interface. Sir, functionality of a class is closely associated with interface, and within the interface only we can use. Then happily we can declare a class inside interface. Are you getting? Sir, the functionality of a class is closely associated with the interface functionality, and we are not using anywhere else. Happily we can declare a class inside interface. Best example here, just observe. Sir, I have one interface. I have one interface. Email service is there. Interface email service. Email service is there. Within that, I have one method. Okay. So public void send a mail. Public void send a mail. Send a mail method is there. And within that I am taking email details. Email details E. Public void send a mail. Email details E is nothing but like. Sir, have you observed? Email details required only for send a mail method, and the send a mail is required only for email service. Email details is required only for email service. We are not using anywhere else. What I will do, this email details class I will declare here only. Class email details. Class email details. Within that, string to list. Sir, to whom you have to send. Details of the email. String to list. String CC list. String CC list. Next, string, okay, subject line. Okay. Next, string body is nothing but like dot. Okay, end of this one. But then we can take dot like. Have you observed? Email details functionality required only for email service, and outside of that we are not using anywhere else. Then happily we can declare a class inside interface, no problem at all. So most of the times where we have this type of requirement, for interface method, argument is a class, or otherwise a return type is a class. Such type of things we can declare within that particular interface only. Is it clear? Right? It's always associated with the interface. The functionality of a class always associated with interface. Then what is the need of taking this one out? Better to define there only, so that modularity will be by default will be improved. Okay. Add. If a functionality of a class, functionality of a class is closely associated with, if a functionality of a class is closely associated with, functionality of a class is closely associated with interface, if a functionality of a class is closely associated with interface, functionality of a class is closely associated with interface, then it is highly recommended. It is highly recommended to declare class inside interface. Then it's highly recommended to declare class inside interface. Highly recommended to declare class inside interface. Highly recommended to declare class inside interface. Okay. So example. Take this example directly. example. Take clearly. Interface email service can I complete it, right? Interface email service public void send a mail email details e. Next class email details string to list cc list subject. Next string body. Completed, I hope. Interface email service public void send a mail email details e. Class email details like. Now any explanation is required. Okay, that's all. So this is what we have. Another thing anyway. Sir, add in the above example. Email details. In the above example, email details. In the above example, email details is required. Email details is required only for email service. Email details is required only for email service. Email details is required only for email service. Only for email service. And we are not using anywhere else. And we are not using anywhere else. Hence email details class is recommended to declare. Email details class is recommended to declare inside email service. Email details class is recommended to declare inside email service interface. Email service interface. Okay, that's all. This is one thing what you people should aware clearly, right? Now any explanation is required. Okay, now next, do you know there is one more case where we require to declare class inside interface. Sometimes what I want to provide default implementation for the interface. Happily, default implementation you can maintain inside interface only. The people who satisfied with the default implementation, happily they can use the class. If they didn't satisfy with the default implementation, they can go for customized implementation. Best example, let me explain. I have one interface is there. Interface vehicle is there. Interface vehicle is there. Every vehicle should compulsory contain number of fields. Public int get number of wheels. Okay, like. Sir, here do you know default settings are getting? Actually settings we require to provide, but sometimes it may ask, do you want to run the show with the default settings only? Are getting? Do you want to run the show with the default implementation only? Then like, sir, what I will do for this interface, I want to provide default implementation. No problem at all. Here class default vehicle. Class default vehicle implements vehicle. Class default vehicle implements vehicle. Within that I am taking class default vehicle implements vehicle. So public int get number of wheels. Public int get number of wheels. Within that just I am taking return to my default vehicle. Most of the time do you have the vehicle? Is nothing but which one? The people are always expecting bike or otherwise cycle. Are you getting? So do you have four-wheeler? Four-wheeler is nothing but a special case. So do you have vehicle? Array vehicle is there with you. Is nothing but everyone common expectation is what? Two-wheeler. It may be a bike or maybe cycle or something like. Sir, here public can get number of wheels return 2 like I'm providing, right? Okay. So this is default implementation of vehicle, right? The people who satisfied with the default implementation, happily they can use this functionality. The people who are not satisfying with the default implementation, then they can go for customized implementation, right? Now I'm taking, so customized implementation I want to take. Here class bus implements vehicle. Class bus implements vehicle. Bus, I'm not satisfied with the 2. My vehicle has not 2 wheels, it has more number of wheels. Class bus, so public int get number of wheels. Public int get number of wheels. Return how many wheels bus has? 6, like I'm taking. Are you getting? Default vehicle is the default implementation of vehicle interface. Implements vehicle only. Next, bus is customized implementation of vehicle interface. Bus is the customizer. Now let me execute this code. Here let me use this functionality, right? Sir, I'm taking class test public static void main method string array args. Public static void main string array args. Now my target is, sir, I'm very much satisfied with the default implementation. Are you getting default implementation? Then directly you can create an object and you can call this method. Sir, every class declared inside interface is always public static. Without having interface instance type, directly we can create an object. That's why, can you tell what is the code we have to take? Here, do you know? Vehicle dot default vehicle dot default vehicle v is equal to, or d is equal to, default vehicle d is equal to new vehicle dot default vehicle. New vehicle dot default vehicle. Are you getting? Now system dot out dot println SOPR d dot, sir, d dot, what is the method we have to call? Get number of wheels. D dot get number of wheels. D dot get number of wheels. Do you know how many wheels my vehicle has? Can you tell what the answer? 2. Default vehicle implementation is nothing but only 2. Now I'm taking, sir, I'm not satisfied with the default vehicle. I want bus implementation. Then what we can do? Bus b is equal to new bus. Normal bus implementation, normal class. Bus b is equal to system dot out dot println b dot get number of wheels. B dot get number of wheels. Can you tell how many wheels bus has? 6 wheels, right? Are you getting? Now end of the main method, end of the class. So we can also declare a class inside interface to provide default implementation for that interface. Is it clear, right? Okay, at this point we can also implement a class inside interface. We can also implement a class inside interface. We can also implement, or we can also define, define a class inside interface, to provide a default implementation for that interface. To provide default implementation for that interface. To provide default implementation. To provide default implementation for that interface. For that interface. Default implementation for that interface. For that interface. Okay. Now, are you getting? So take this example directly. Take this example. So 1 minute. Here just observe. Let me take 1 minute. Here see. Here I am taking, sir, just observe, intraphase vehicle, public int get number of wheels, 1 minute, 1 minute. Okay, public int get number of wheels, class default vehicle implements vehicle, public int get number of wheels return 2. Are you getting? Point number return 2. Class bus implements vehicle, public int get number of wheels return 6. Okay, like I am taking, sir, here I am taking vehicle dot default vehicle, d is equal to new vehicle dot default vehicle, d dot get number of wheels. What is the answer we are going to get now? Oi, 2 default vehicle. Next, bus B is equal to new bus, system B dot get number of wheels. What is the answer we are going to get? 6. Are you getting? Sir, let me take test dot Java. Yes, Java test. What is the answer? 2 followed by 6. Are you getting? So this is what you people should aware clearly. Take this example directly. Take intraphase vehicle, public int get number of wheels, intraphase vehicle, public int get number of wheels, class default vehicle implements vehicle, like class default vehicle implements vehicle, public int get number of wheels return 2. Take clearly. Public int get number of fields, class default vehicle implements vehicle, next class bus implements vehicle, public int get number of fields return 6. Class bus implements vehicle, public int get number of fields return 6. Like, can I complete it right? Okay, after taking this one, just you can take snap. Completed, I hope. Okay, now here the theory. In the above example, default vehicle, default vehicle is the default implementation of, in the above example, default vehicle is the default implementation of, default vehicle is the default implementation of, in the above example, default vehicle is the default implementation of vehicle interface. Default vehicle is the default implementation of vehicle interface. Vehicle interface. whereas bus is bus is customized implementation of vehicle interface, whereas bus is customized implementation of vehicle interface. Bus is customized implementation of vehicle interface. Bus is the customized implementation of vehicle interface. That's all. Are you able to understand, right? Okay, this is next. Take a note. Note. Do you know here have you observed the class which is declared inside interface? Sir, this class, the class which is declared inside interface is always public static, whether we are declaring or not. The class which is declared inside interface is always public static, whether we are declaring or not. Are you getting? That's why always public static, whether we are declaring or not. That's why, do you know, we can create this class object directly without having interface instance type. Sir, without having outer class object, directly we can create inner class object, something like without having interface type of instance, directly we can create this class object. What I did, default vehicle d is equal to, like we did. Okay, add the class which is declared inside interface, the class which is declared inside interface is always, the class which is declared inside interface is always public static, whether we are declaring or not. Is always public static, whether we are declaring or not. Is always public static, whether we are declaring or not. Hence we can create class object directly. We can create class object directly without having interface type object, without having outer interface type object, without having outer interface type object. Are you getting the point, right? Sir, without having outer interface type, directly we can create an object. That's all. So these are 4 combinations what we have: class inside a class, interface inside a class, next up interface inside interface, class inside interface, right? Okay, this keep submitting. Conclusions. Okay, now observe very carefully about this one, conclusions. Okay, now I'm taking, observe this point well. Now conclusions, like here my target is, I'm taking class A, within that class B I'm taking. Sir, is it a valid combination or not? Yes, so valid. Class A within that interface B I'm taking. Is it valid or not? Yeah, valid, no problem at all. Next, interface A I'm taking, within that interface B I'm taking. Is it valid or not? Valid. Next, interface A I'm taking, within that class B I'm taking. Is it valid or not? Valid. Are you getting the point? So now among classes and interfaces, we can declare anything inside anything is nothing but acceptable. Add first one, among classes and interfaces, we can declare, among classes and interfaces we can declare anything inside anything, We can declare anything inside anything. We can declare anything inside anything. We can declare anything inside anything. Anything. Okay, possible. Now take this example. Class A, within that class B, first one valid. Class A, within that interface B, second one valid. Interface A, within that interface B. Interface A, within that interface B, valid. Next, interface A, within that class B. So take clearly, all these possibilities are there. Take clearly. Okay, next one. I hope is clear up to this. Next conclusion. Here say this one. Sir, the interface which is declared inside interface, the interface which is declared inside interface, compulsory this thing should be available to the implementation classes. Correct or not? Okay, the same. So every interface which is declared inside interface is always public static, whether we are declaring or not. We covered already this point. Sir, this one is always what? Public and static, whether we are declaring or not. Add. Second point. The interface which is declared inside interface, the interface which is declared inside interface, which is declared inside interface is always interface which is declared inside interface is always public and static, is always public and static, public and static, whether we are declaring or not. Is always public and static, whether we are declaring or not. Is always public and static, whether we are declaring or not. Whether we are declaring or not. Whether we are declaring or not. Okay. Is always public and static, whether we are declaring or not. Next, legend. Sir, here the class which is declared inside interface, do you know, it should be available to every implementation class. That's why the class which is declared inside interface is always public and static, whether we are declaring or not. Is always public and static, whether we are declaring or not. Add. Third point. The class which is declared inside interface, the class which is declared inside interface, the class which is declared inside interface is always public and static. The class which is declared inside interface is always public and static, whether we are declaring or not. Is always public and static, whether we are declaring or not. Always public and static, whether we are declaring or not. Whether we are declaring or not. Okay, that's all. Second point is also clear for you. Okay, next, third one. Listen. The interface which is declared inside a class, the interface which is declared inside a class is always static, but need not be public. If you want this interface required only within the class, private also you can declare, no problem at all. The interface which is declared inside a class is always static, but need not be public. Okay, this can be private also. If you want, you can declare the private, acceptable. But here you can't declare the private because it's already public. Okay, at this point. Third one. The interface which is declared inside interface. The interface which is declared inside a class. The interface which is declared inside a class. The interface which is declared inside a class. Interface which is declared inside a class is always, the interface which is declared inside a class is always interface which is declared inside a class is always static, but need not be public. Is always static but need not be public. Always static but need not be public. That's all. Completed, right? So this is what you people should aware clearly. These are various conclusions what you people should aware, not required to keep much explanation. That's all. There ends one of very important difficult concept for the total Java is nothing but inner classes concept. Okay, that's all. So with this, these are the extra things what you people should aware. Okay, that's all.